Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast, the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions on the worlds of TV, film, pop culture, social media, music, news, everything really depending on the guest. We talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. My guest is an actor, musician, does a lot of really cool things. You will recognize him from MTV's Teen Wolf, Truth or Dare from Blumhouse, and most recently, Alone, which will be available video on demand. Tyler Posey is with us. Tyler, welcome to Popternative, man.
Dude, thank you. I'm pumped, man.
I'm really happy we're able to do this interview. We talked about it before, we probably have a lot of mutual friends, those pop punk days, those bands. We Were Sharks, Seaway, Canadian Pop Punk. Shout out to Canadian Pop Punk.
I even have the CN Tower tattooed on me right here.
That's amazing.
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for doing this. Alone, this is an awesome film. There's a lot of ways we could describe this film. Apocalyptic, zombie, survival. What kind of goes through your mind when you talk about this film that you did? Survival film is how I would put it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely a survival film. It's definitely an apocalyptic film. It's a film that really parallels what's happening in the world today without us really knowing. We had no idea that there was going to be a pandemic when we wrote the movie and when we filmed it. And it's bizarre. Like, I really like to think of the movie as like symbolic and synchronized with the world right now, and my character kind of, going through all of this shit and then surviving. And then the world hopefully going through all of this and coming out of it on top, And so I really like to see the parallels of this film right now and how much it relates to the world.
Well, in the title, Alone, like your character, there are moments, there are other people in this film, but like there are moments where it's you and you're on your own, man. You know what I mean? Talk a little bit about what we see in the film. Talk a little bit about there's definitely a little bit of like an evolution and kind of a growth of your character throughout the beginning of the film and the end of the film.
Yeah, there absolutely is. My character in the beginning of the film has never been alone a day in his life. He's never done anything relied and leaned on other people to kind of handle his problems. And he sees himself as a coward, and he can't imagine going on. He thinks that he is just a loser. He doesn't have the strength to leave his apartment. And at the very end, he kind of has this realization where he doesn't become selfish anymore. He realizes that there's something to live for and that he can help other people.
No,
and that is like such a really cool turn and growth for my character. And I think a lot of people are going through that in our own current quarantine, people have to be alone and sit with their thoughts and kind of figure out like what they want to be as a human and kind of get rid of like sort of any selfish tendencies and realize that we're all in this together, and it's the same sort of growth that my character goes through. And it's what brought me to the movie. And it's such a cool aspect, that we get to have in a zombie film. There's so many cool aspects of this movie.
And very quickly, specifically about Alone, what was it like working with the legendary Donald Sutherland? Like, that must have been really cool.
Dude, it was so cool. It was so cool. Like, he's such a legendary actor. I've seen him in almost everything that he's done. And when I was watching him on set and when I was working with him, you could see his act. Like, he was there. He was just right there. And like his acting, I could see it in other movies that he's done. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the same thing he did in this movie. And I was just like this starstruck little kid. And dude, it was so much fun. We got to play off of each other. We really respected one another. And I would rehearse with him in his trailer. And then we would just like really break the scenes down and kind of break through the layers of them and just had the greatest time. It was like we were kids acting, and like the cameras weren't there. It was, dude, he's such a cool actor. His choices are insane.
Absolutely. It's amazing. Alone is not necessarily like full out a horror film. It's got its horror movie moments. It's got its gore. It's a zombie movie. It's a thriller. You've been in horror movies before and worked in the horror genre. Have you noticed, Tyler, that this genre has just kind of taken over the planet? Like the last couple of years, the amount of amazing horror movies coming out is next level, man.
It's insane. Yeah, dude. And I think that there's just a lot of freedom with them. Like you said, this isn't just a horror movie. It deals with a lot of stuff. It deals with personal growth. It deals with this pandemic, which is insane.
Yep.
It deals with just like not becoming selfish anymore and kind of living for something else and something bigger than you. So there's but then there's the foundation of just this fucking crazy horror aspect, And so it's just so much fun. And there's so much freedom with horror. There's been millions of zombie movies. And
I
this one's,
loved Truth or Dare, by the way. Dude, it was awesome. I don't care what anyone said. I love that movie.
I love that film too, man. I really enjoyed it. I met a lot of really good people on that film and we just had so much fun. Horror is so much fun, to act, to watch, kind of no matter how silly it is, it's still just this really fanatical sort of like whimsical thing. It's sci-fi. It's all fake, and you could just have so much freedom with it. And so I think that's why it's so much fun to do.
There's also
and to
different
watch.
ways to scare people too, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like it doesn't have to be like the cheap jump scares or the gore. Like
Exactly.
people in society are scary.
Yes, dude. Yeah, you can get into really some crazy mind stuff. It doesn't have to be a monster. It can be people. People can be the scariest aspect of all. And that's what makes it horror films even scarier is because, there are no monsters that we know of, but there are people. And so if there's scary people, it just makes it that much scarier in real life.
In the film, there are moments where you are getting chased by zombies, and it seems like the scariest thing as well. I want to know from your perspective as an actor and a storyteller, Tyler, how did you prepare for those roles specifically? Like those scenes, those were intense scenes.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of prepared by not preparing, I was just like, okay, my character's never been in this situation before. He's never been face to face with one of these. He's seen them around his complex, but he's never actually gone out of his apartment yet and been chased down by one. And so I kind of just had that aspect in my head. It's like the first time I'm seeing one of these things up close and personal, and like you can smell them. It's this different smell that you didn't expect. It's their speed and not, like being that quick yourself and kind of, falling and just not being that athletic, and these things just have no pain. They don't feel pain, so they can fall and look like they get hurt, but they're still going. And so it's like you're shocked by everything happening. You think you can prepare yourself for this moment, like my character did. He's like, okay, I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna put on like a jacket, and maybe that'll help, so I don't get bit. But there's no way to prepare for that, and that's kind of what I did. I just had everything like out of my head and was seeing them for the first time.
No, for sure. I mentioned on the top as well, you're not only an actor, you're also a musician. So I definitely need to bring this up right now. I mean, not the most timely thing. I mean, there's not a lot of festivals going on right now, but I've always wanted to maybe do this with someone like you. I mean, dream festivals, man. We talk about this all the time. Like, there's so many bands that you listen to on a daily basis. On top of your head, like, whether you're kind of playing in that festival or kind of going, what would be your ideal, like, 4-band festival? You obviously have the headliner, and then, have you ever thought about this question?
Not entirely, but I have the answer for you. It's got to have NoFX. Mm-hmm. I'm a huge NoFX punk fan. Mm-hmm. And I just want to get some old school in there too, like I would love to have like Lagwagon.
Oh yeah.
Lagwagon. Also, I think I going with the Canadian side, I love Billy Talent.
Billy Talent's amazing. Yeah.
I've never seen them live. And so we'll do NoFX, Lagwagon, Billy Talent, and then dude, I don't know. Maybe to bring it down a little bit in a different sort of vibe, Incubus.
Yeah.
I think
for
Incubus
me,
would be
I have this question. I mean, for me, it's like, Blink-182 headlines this because,
of course,
yeah. And
but
then,
like, you
know what band I have not seen who's like one of my favorites? Not like we talk pop punk, but like Coheed and Cambria. I love that band,
dude.
And I haven't seen them live. That band just blows my mind, man.
Oh, Coheed would be sick. And I always have Blink-182 up there. I've got Blink-182 tattoos. This is the first note of a Blink song. And so Blink-182 is obviously my top band.
It's pretty funny though, because, and people that follow you, you're really passionate about that music. And like, you look at the alternative press, the APMAs, with you getting on the stage neck deep and everything. I mean, like, there's something though about you go to a bar and they'll play like pop music and everything, but all the small things from Blink-182 will come up on there and people are gonna lose their minds. And all these different types of people. Have you ever thought about that at all? It's like pop punk and punk rock is kind of like not like guilty pleasure, but like a lot of people listen and will love Blink-182 and stuff like that.
Yeah, dude, they do. I mean, Blink-182 in their prime was the pop. Well, they were pop culture. You know, they were one of the biggest bands ever. You know, aside from them being punk. And so that's just, I think people do sort of have like a guilty pleasure, nostalgic vibe with Blink-182. But for me, it's always been like when people say, "Oh, this reminds me of my high school days, my junior high days." I'm like, this reminds me of my every single day.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's
So
like a lot of, yeah, and like, but those bands, man, like Sum 41 too, we've interviewed a few members of that band, and like Silverstein, we've interviewed Shane Toll from that band, and like those bands like were part of like this crop of bands that I listened to in high school. That high school would have been a lot harder if I didn't have those bands. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, absolutely. I would have not been myself if these bands didn't exist. State champs even helped me out through a lot, you know, in my years. And honestly, dude, this, like, I've got Blink-182 posters right up there. You can't see them, but I love this music. It saved my life. 100%.
It's so much fun. Can you plug, like, I mean, you have a band. Can you plug your band quickly?
Hell yeah. Yeah. My band is 5 North. We have an EP out called Scumbag, another smaller EP that's like an EDM remix that you can take to a dance club called Trippy Listenings. We're working on our feature full-length album right now. It's going to be 12 songs. We're halfway done. We got 6 songs down, and we are producing with John Feldman, who is one of the owners of our label, Big Noise. And John Feldman produces all the Blink-182 and all the Travis Barker stuff.
You know what's crazy though? I just forgot of. People always ask me. I've done over 500 interviews on this show, and basically people have asked me like, "What interview are you the most proud of?" I'm gonna be honest with you. Some people don't. Like, you're gonna appreciate this a lot more than a lot of people, because people like the behind the scenes. I interviewed Kevin Lyman, man.
Dude, that's so sick.
Dude, I interviewed him the year they said that was gonna be the last year of Warped Tour, and like to me, I look back, that is like he's responsible for like 80% of the music I listen to.
100%, absolutely. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Warped Tour was the first experience I had in a mosh pit. I still have a tooth. My tooth is still chipped from it. My other band played the last year of Warped Tour, and it was just, dude. And I got to meet Kevin. So, he is responsible for
so much music. Taste the Chaos too. People don't realize Taste the Chaos was like the younger brother or sister of Van's Warped Tour. One of my favorite bands of all time, 4 Years Strong. I discovered them through Taste of Chaos.
Dude, I was gonna say when we were talking just now, I'm like, I have to have 4 Years Strong in my ideal festival too.
4 Years Strong is like one of the best bands. Anything that band has put out, I know they've had a lot of changes of their genre, but bands grow. Everything that band has put out is amazing. Tyler, thank you so much for coming on Popternative, man.
Dude, thank you. I want to come back any single time you want.
Yeah, we got to talk. Maybe we could do a panel and get Randy from We Were Sharks. It would be awesome, man.
Dude, I would love that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Alone, it's a great film, by the way. Congratulations on that, man. Can you just kind of plug away? I mean, it's going to be available video on demand.
Yeah, it's going to be available video on demand October 16th, which is a couple days before my birthday. It'll be on demand at Apple TV, Amazon Prime, and kind of anywhere that like things are streamed, movies are streamed. And it's really, really, really cool. I put a lot of hard work into it, emotionally and physically. The director, Johnny Martin, is a great stunt coordinator and a great stunt videographer. And so he knew what he was doing. And the movie's just, it's bizarre how parallel it runs with the world right now. And my character's quarantining alone, and then he social distances, and it's just it's a really, really cool movie and very symbolic for the times right now.
Absolutely. And for you specifically, where can people follow you on social media to keep up date with everything?
Sure, yeah. I've my social media Instagram is Tyler Posey 58, and I'm Tyler G Posey on Twitter. I don't really visit Twitter too often anymore, but that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then my band is 5 North Official.
And very quickly, I can't believe we didn't even mention it. They're gonna get mad at me. I mean, Teen Wolf was a big part of your life, right? Like that was a huge part. I mean, like quickly, that was a cool experience for you as well, and dude, that started everything for you.
Yeah, Teen Wolf was really cool in the sense that I was the lead on it, and I really just dug my teeth, no pun intended, into that role, into being the lead, you know. And it kind of made me excited for Alone, because Alone, it's just me, basically.
And the fan base for Teen Wolf, man, like it's just insane, dude.
It's insane. They're great. They're constant, and they will always be there. I love it.
Absolutely. Well, seriously, thank you so much for doing this, man. I really appreciate chatting with you.
Yeah, me too, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Be sure to catch Tyler Posey and Donald Sutherland in Alone, which will be available October 16th. Until next time, this is Tyler Posey and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.